Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Well, today I want to talk about banking fees. And I specifically picked out banking because at the end I'm going to compare something that happened to me between a bank and a savings and loan. It'll amaze you. When I first started working professionally in a career, I was in banking, and in banking you can go up two sides. There's the lending side and then there's the operations side. So I went up the operations side, and I was in a small bank, and one of my first responsibilities as I became the number 2 man in the bank, I was charged with finding as many ways to increase fee income as I could. So my job was to make up fees to generate cash for the bank. I had no idea that was even a thing. But that was my job. And one of the first ones that I came up with was we had 3 different companies that you could buy checks from when you signed up. I eliminated 2 of them and just kept one, and added a $1 surcharge per box of checks. So if the company charged $5 a box, we charged 6. That way there was no mistake. We just, for every box of checks we sold, we made $1. Lockbox fees. Now, you say, well, everybody charges lockbox fees. That's true, but they don't change them periodically just to generate cash. We did. Now, one of the biggest bugaboos from every bank I've ever done business with is overdraft fees. Because, now I understand that if you overdraw the account, the bank's on the line. If you don't want them to send your check back, I mean, I get it. But I have always had a savings account where I'm at. And if you just miss it by 1 day between the deposit and the time the checks get there, let's say 3 checks come in, that's $75. Well, it used to be, I don't know what it is today, but $25 per check. That's $75 in fees. And if those checks only totaled $30, dang. So overdraft fees was a real bugaboo to me. Check cashing fees. I'll never forget the first time this happened. I went to a bank that somebody had written me a check, and it was not on my bank. So rather than go to my bank, I went to their bank to make sure that the cash was there. It was, but they charged me like $5 just to cash a check. A personal check drawn on their bank. $5. That's a ripoff. I recently, well, I say recently, a couple of years ago, took out a loan, and I thought I was doing the right thing by opening a checking and a savings account there and moving the money around. I went to open the account. Now, mind you, I am a customer of this bank. I just took out a loan for a home here. And the only way that I could get free checking is if I had no paper statement sent to me. I had to keep X amount of dollars in there. And I had to do online banking. That's the only way. I know nothing about online. I mean, I agreed to all that just because I didn't want to pay anything. But dang, you know, from that bank, I have not seen my statement in almost 3 years because I don't know how to access it. Imagine that. Charging me fees just to get a dang statement in the mail. Another one I like, I went to, I had to get copies of a check to prove to a vendor that I had paid. The bank wanted me to pay for copies of a check. I guess from the banker standpoint, there's no cost of doing business. If you want to do business, it's your cost to do business, not theirs. That's just wrong. Every business I've ever been in, there's a cost of doing business. Bookkeeping fees. You want somebody to help you balance your statement or find a problem with your account? $25 an hour. Well, that's what it used to be. I don't know what it is now. Now, I never used that service. My dad did all the time. He was terrible with his checkbook. So he'd have an overdraft or a problem, and he'd go to bookkeeping, and he'd pay for it. Bookkeeping fees. I worked in bookkeeping. Most of the time, those people are looking for something to do. Minimum balance fees. This one drives me crazy. You have to keep a minimum of X amount of dollars in your savings account, or they charge you a fee. And I think around here, the last time I checked, which was several years ago, it was $100, a minimum balance of $100 in your savings account, or they charge you $5. So if you have $99, they're going to charge you 5%. That does not encourage savings. Okay, I never got that. Why would I pay a bank $5 a month to start a savings account? And you say, well, it's only $100. Well, that varies from bank to bank. I shouldn't have to pay anybody anything for them to have my money, because I'll tell you why. That bank every single day invests in something called Fed funds. And they take all the cash, well, a percentage of the cash in the bank, they deposit it with the Fed overnight and make interest on that money. So if I put money into their bank, they're making money on my money every single night it's there. And yet they want to charge me $5? That's wrong. But they get away with it. Also at this bank, I now have a loan, a checking account, a savings account. I called the other day because I needed to transfer money from my savings to my checking account to cover some bills. $3. Okay? And they do it while you're on the phone. There's no paperwork involved. It's hitting a couple keys on a computer. They charge me $3. That's outrageous. So anyway, these are just some of the outrageous fees that I had done, I've seen done, and have been done to me. Now, I told you I was going to end up with something that had happened. I went to my credit union a while back and I got an overdraft protection because, like I said, no matter how hard I try, once or twice a year, I always mess up on my adding and subtracting, and a check bounces and it costs me $25. Do that twice a year, it's $50 a year. It's really irritating to me. So I applied for and received an overdraft protection account for $1,000. Okay? The next week I went to the bank to do that with my checking savings, the bank where I have my checking savings and home loan. And I went there to do the thing. Here's the difference in the same thing from a bank to a savings and loan. The bank wanted me to pay a monthly fee whether I used my overdraft account or not. Now in my mind I'm thinking that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? The purpose of the overdraft account is to not have to pay fees, and you're going to charge me a monthly fee whether I use it or not? The savings and loan put the line of credit on my account and said you only have to pay for it when you use it. If you don't use it, you don't pay. Okay. The bank wanted to move minimum amounts of money in $50 increments. That way, they could charge me interest on a minimum of $50. If my overdraft was only $3, I was paying interest on $50. The savings and loan said, we will only transfer the amount to cover the check, and that's what you'll use, that's what you'll pay interest on. I said, okay. The bank wanted to charge me interest from day one. So if they transferred the money on a Monday, they started charging me interest on Monday. The savings and loan told me, hey, we're going to do this, and we won't start charging you interest till the first of the month. So if I overdraft halfway through the month, they paid the check, transferred the money from my thing, and then charged me interest the first of the next month. So for 2 weeks, I had an opportunity to get in there, cover the fees, make sure everything was okay, and not pay any interest. That's a huge difference. And that's just one thing that I noticed. So, from this video and from the experience that I have done in this video, my advice has become very adamant. Always, always, always look for a credit union, and don't do banks if you don't have to. Those banks are just money eaters. You think you're opening a savings account, you're opening an expense account when you open one at a bank. Because I jumped through all those hoops for that bank, and just to transfer money, $3. $3, $3, $3. I call the credit union to transfer money, no fees. Now all of these fees that I went over today were banks. There are no fees that I know of in my credit union because I don't use them. They were charging me an overdraft fee, but until I opened that overdraft account, they don't charge me that anymore. Well, anyway, I just wanted to let you know that if you have an opportunity to join a credit union, always join the credit union. Always. Without exception. They are there to help you to save, to grow, and to increase your credit. The bank is there to take your money, make loans, and charge you as many fees, hidden and otherwise, as they can to make money for their bottom line, and to get you to deposit money so that they can deposit the money and make money on your money overnight. That is a big racket. Stay away from the banks. Go to the credit union. Well, you guys have a great day, have a great week, and happy investing.